everyone, I am Pervaiz and I'm a TB survivor and this is my story from 140 pounds to 120 pounds and back to 140 pounds again, and I'm still remember that day when everyone in my family was crying. We, a family of four, lived in a very small and congested single room without proper ventilation, light, and sun. And lately I came to know these are all the situation for TB. I experienced weakness, cough, fever, and shortness of breath. I visited a number of doctors. They were all the local doctors, but none of them was able to figure out what's going on and what's causing me sick. Many of them said, "Gentlemen, it's just a simple cough and seasonal fever, nothing else." But on the other side, my cough got worsened with frequent night sweat, fever, and persistent weight loss. And everyone was noticing these changes except my doctors. I was lucky enough to have my brother, who was a medical student. He noticed these changes and he advised me to go and visit chest specialist. We went to a public hospital and there we were referred to TB ward. And there was a long queue of the people who were maybe infected, affected, or survived TB patient. And my name was called for skin test, for sputum, and for X-ray. And after several X-rays, after several attempts, doctor without any pre or post counseling diagnosed me TB, and I was the victim of one of the top 10 most death causes. TB runs in my family. Many of my maternal cousins got died of TB. I was frightened. Truly speaking, I was very frightened and scared of death. I heard a lot about social stigma and no support around TB that made things even more difficult. I didn't feel physically and emotionally well. My relatives avoided me, my peers excluded me, family elders said no one would like to be married with you. Even they said that no, you will get no job, no employer will offer a job. And I was afraid, and I was unable to go outside and tell my TB status openly. I felt isolated. I felt isolated, I felt neglected, and I felt ignored. I was very uneducated about TB at that time, and I thought I might be end up in some TB sanatorium for years, and finally my family will collect my dead body. And what happened if they if they refuse to get my dead body? Will I live and die alone? These all were questions I was asking for myself. And doctor put me on the first line treatment regimen. I was not aware that I have to take 10 pills every day, 3 times a day for 1 year. It was such a horrible, painful, and disastrous feeling. My grandma, she was totally an illiterate person and she counseled me. My brother prepared me to fight against the disease. They both were my lifeline. Doctor advised me to have healthy and nutritious food. They said that you have to eat minced meat, fresh food, and milk. But like the food, such kind of food, especially the meat, was once in a month luxury in my life, once in luxury in my family. So I felt very bad that I am going to be an extra financial burden on my family, and I was so guilty. My brother was a home tutor. One day he was sitting amongst his student and he started crying. The student asked what happened, and he said, "My brother is going to die. We didn't have resources to save his life." The students next day came back to their parents, and one of the father of the students came to my brother, and he said, "You need not to be worried. We will take care of all the expenses of your brother until he will be recovered 100%." My brother came to home. He told this story, and we all cried. We all cried, literally cried with tears. But these were the tears of happiness. We found that there is a solution. And now, life or death, pain or pleasure, it was my choice now. I can get rid of the disease or I can accept the disease. That was my choice. So I decided to drive my life decision by myself. I decided to get my rebirth. I decided to run a life marathon and ready to bear the pain of medication rather death. On February 2, exactly on my date of birth, after having three and final x-rays after 1 year medication, doctor delivered three magical words. And those words I was dying to listen. Doctor said, "You are non-contagious." And when I heard these words, you can't imagine what I was. I was flying in the air. The day I recovered, I have decided to become a TB advocate, to give help, hope, and health to those TB people who deserve it. And I traveled across the globe. I replicated myself. I attended a lot many meetings. I educated, I advocated, I advised for the TB patient empowerment and engagement of TB people in their treatment, diagnosis, and health and recovery. I replicated myself and I feel like very good. And I still believe like without TB people's engagement, eradication and elimination of TB is not possible. TB people are the PhD doctors from the University of the Life. The disease they know, doctor might not know. So they can educate the doctors. So as a TB person, please educate your health provider and empower your healthcare and demand for right diagnosis at right time, at right treatment, and right diagnosis. And many a time when you are on the road of recovery, you will feel like recovery is very, very, very tough, very impossible. Many a time you may decide to quit, but at that time, you should need to look at those TB survivors who had traveled successfully, who defeat the disease. And you also have to look at your sister, mother, father, brother, sons, daughters, who will be going to remind you of why your fight against the disease worth. My fight and triumph over TB teach me life lessons. I learned that strength and growth come only through continuous struggle. Fighting TB boosted my morale, gave me strength, made me determined, taught me life management and the power of persistency. I learned that nothing is impossible. If I can learn this lesson, anyone can also. And I just want to talk about the present situation. I mean, this COVID situation. And in this COVID situation, TB is in a real crisis. Many of the healthcare providers, they are obsessed with the corona. They might be, I'm not saying they might be consciously, but they might be putting the TB patients as corona patients because there are many symptoms which are common. And the TB control efforts are just going into maybe not the right direction. In this situation, limited of resources like all PPE are diverted from TB to COVID. And healthcare providers, they should be very conscious. They should carefully diagnose the person who is coming with the same symptoms, maybe like cough, maybe like weight loss, maybe like other symptoms, and they should be carefully treat that person, assuming that he or she could also be a victim of TB. And in this situation, the stigma of coughing exhibiting symptoms is even worse. People are afraid to visit doctor. Research funding has been diverted from TB to COVID, and people who survived pulmonary TB frequently have lung damage and contacting COVID very, very soon. So communities with higher infection of TB are also the ones getting high rates of COVID. So we need more and more TB survivors as TB educators. We need more health workers for a society free of TB. And I'm really proud to say that I am part of VRTB. This is a survivors network, and we are ready to extend our partnership in TB eradication and elimination efforts. And right now, I am happily living with my wife, my son, and my daughter in Chicago. And I always dream like the society will be free of TB in my lifetime. Thank you very much.